Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back to Bat Force Radio, the Batman and DC podcast with no limits. This week we are the Bat Force Times in New York.
Hello, hello.
And I'm Robin Cross in Canada. And this week we are joined by an artist known for collaborations with the likes of Rick Remender and Mark Millar on books like Black Science, Secret Avengers, and Space Bandits. He is currently working on Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, along with Katana Collins, Dave Stewart, and Matt Hollingsworth, which begins October 20th. He is Matteo Scalera.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Hey,
you,
guys,
Matteo.
how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks
good,
so much.
Good.
I know.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I know the time zone difference makes it difficult, so we appreciate you making this work with us.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. Like by now, I've finished my work, so it's my relaxed time now. So we're not. It's super cool. So it's super fun.
Awesome. So you're in Italy?
Yeah. I'm in Italy. I live in Parma, which is more or less in the northern central part of Italy, where the Parmesan cheese comes from. So. Lots of good food here.
Oh, I know. I miss Italy. Oh God, you and Lee and Martina, all you guys are living there right now.
Have you been in Italy?
I was lucky enough to for my school. I was lucky enough to study art and live in Venice for a summer, and all I did was just and I lived in Castello, and it was that's like one of the real old districts in Venice where there's still a lot of natives, and I just got to like train around all of Italy. I never slept. I just wanted to go to every city and see the art and the food and the people, and I think if you're an artist and you're not from Italy, every artist should make the voyage at some point in their life to spend some time in Italy and just feel like where it all comes from, because yeah, but how's things with like the quarantine and everything? Is everything bouncing back and feeling like normal again over there, or is it still like a little lockdown?
Yes. We're pretty much back to normal. Like the actual quarantine ended at the beginning of May. So from then on, we have to respect some rules. Social distancing and wearing the mask.
Yeah.
If you have to enter a closed space, if you're not in the open, but other than that, like it's the situation is pretty back to normal. But now the cold is coming again, so we'll see what happens, because in the summer it's been super hot, so we had no contagions in a certain period around August, but now we're starting to have new cases, so we gotta be really careful, and we'll see what happens. Just hopefully, we're not gonna have another lockdown, but we'll see. Things look better than before, so fingers crossed.
Good. Yeah, I mean, because you were there, I'm assuming, for when the major outbreak occurred earlier in the year.
And early March.
Early March, yeah. And
I was
basically
after Asia, we were the first one who got the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we were actually the first one to to end quarantine and start life again. So
Right. Yeah. So,
so how
yeah, I'm
about you
glad.
guys? What's the situation over there?
Well, I'm in New York. We were like the second epicenter right after Italy. Like we got hit really hard, but we've been really strict, and we've been at 1% for a long time. Above or below, right around 1% infection rate so far. So for a city with this population, I think that's really good. And we've been
Yeah,
just
yeah, absolutely.
most people take it serious, the mask, and yeah, we're just trying to get by. I think if we just get through this fall winter season, then we should be okay. But I think everybody just needs to stay disciplined and get through these interesting times. Just very strange.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually tried to fly to New York in August, I think.
Yeah.
But I had the flights and everything because my agent, my art dealer, lives in Jersey. So I was planning on seeing him for like a week. We had to, make some plans for next year and stuff like that. But I before leaving, like a couple of days earlier, just to make sure I checked on the, on what it would be like if I would fly over there. And I found out at the last second that if I wanted to fly to New York, I had to, after landing, I had to stay for 14 days in a hotel before getting to do anything. So I gave up and I had to cancel my. So for now we had to just had to wait and see what happens next year probably.
Yeah, those precautions have to be strict in like the big cities like that. Like, but I'm in a pretty small city in Canada. Like I'm a few hours away from Toronto, and we didn't get hit really bad here. Like nowhere near like what some other places, like what you guys had to deal with. But still, when things started reopening and people tried going back to normal life, you always end up with some people who are not being careful enough, and then things start getting bad again because people are being careless.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I've been to Sardinia just for a quick 1 week vacation this summer, and that being that an island, they didn't get affected at all by the virus, so everybody was really, really careless. I would say too much. And as soon as we left, there was a small epicenter right in Sardinia, but they kind of had it coming. Like we could clearly see, all right, this is something that is going to happen here because nobody's taking precautions, and that's what in fact happened. Like just a couple of weeks after we left. So yeah, we still got to be really careful, like especially with the with the fall and winter coming. It's gonna be there's a fair chance it's gonna be some more hard times for us. So let's just hope for the best.
It's funny. There's so many different perspectives on it, but it's been months since I've been to my favorite pizza parlor in New York here. That's run by real Italians from Italy. They've been family business since the 70s. They're famous for their pizza and food roses. And I went there finally to pick up an eggplant parmesan hero, and they had the sneeze guards up, and the waitress had the mask. But then in the corner there was like a bunch of old Italian men with no mask, just talking loud and not giving a fuck. Like just, and I'm like hell yeah. Like,
sometimes you're not that good with rules,
Yeah, or some. It's fun because sometimes people are older and scared to death, and sometimes people are older and they just don't care. They're
they just don't care. Yeah,
they don't like. Well, I've lived it,
Yeah.
That's fine. But to refocus back to you, so tell us, for our listeners and everyone, tell us your origin story in terms of how you grew up and got exposed to art, got interested in art, and broke in the industry, like your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, my real interest for art, I remember the moment where I actually decided, all right, like I want to get, good at drawing, which I was lucky enough because, it happened really early in my life. I was like 3 or 4 years old. Like I remember the exact moment when I saw, I was playing with some toys and I started redrawing them on a piece of paper. So I remember that was my first contact, if we want to say so, with art. But then, living in Italy, it's despite the fact that we don't have a huge, market for comic books, we have a big comic book culture in general, and you can find, if you go to a comic book shop, you can find basically anything you want. So I grew up reading, at first I was reading Italian comics, such as I don't know if you heard of it, Dylan Dog,
Yes.
which is it's an horror, comic book series, and it's still ongoing. And I think that Dark Horse published some of that stuff. And on the other side, I was reading comics, American comic books, such as, I don't know, like Spider-Man, the X-Men, Batman, and stuff like that. And also, I was reading manga and French comic books. To be honest with you, French, they call it the BD, le bande dessinée in France. I started reading them a little bit later. So the first three, type of comic books that I started reading was the Italian one, the US one, and the Japanese. So that's where, my love for drawing started, channeling through actual, comic books. So those were my first steps. And then, following the passion, I decided to study to become a better artist. So I attended School of Arts here in Parma. And then after that, I went to a comic books school. So my study became more, specific for comic books. And that school lasted 3 years. And then after that, I didn't start, working immediately. It took a few years. Then I slowly started doing, small independent stuff here and there. And, from then on, I slowly, my career started, getting better and better. So I started getting better and better gigs. And I would say the first important gig I got was when I won the Chester Quest, which was basically CB Cebulski from Marvel. Back in the day, it was basically scouting, and it was traveling around the world for a comic book convention, looking for new artists to hire. And, I was one of the 12 artists that got selected. And from then on, I started, working for major, comic book publishers. That's more or less my story and in short.
I had read that story before about how Cebulski's thing was what led to you breaking into American comics. But if something like that hadn't come along, what do you think the geographic barrier would be like? Hey, what do you think your odds of breaking into the American part of the industry would have been like? being so far removed from it. Does it seem like it's something that's more difficult to get into if you aren't located in America?
To be honest with you, no, because back in the day, like when I got, when I won, when I was one of the 12 winners of the Chester Quest, it was a couple of years before I actually started to work with Marvel. But in between, in those 2 years, I kept, doing stuff. So in those 2 years, I managed to do a book with Image Comics that was called Hyperkinetic. It was a mini series that I did with a writer called Howard Shum. And back in the day, it wasn't a good time for Image, so the book wasn't that successful, to be honest with you. But still, I had my chance, and it wasn't thanks to the Chester Quest, because those contacts that I had created them, using using the internet, basically. I had back in the day, there was a big comic book forum online in Italy. So I was one of the members of this forum, and I was posting regularly on that. So I used the stuff that I post on that to show it to this American writer. And so one way or another, especially now with internet, I think I would, my career would have been more or less, the same. It wasn't like that, back in the day. It was really hard for an Italian to make it in the States. But again, with internet, everything, got way much better. And to be honest with you, I don't know, like, what other kind of books I could do, aside from American comic books. Like, since day one, that's always been my, the thing that resonated the most with my personality, to be honest with you. Because, despite the fact that I always loved reading, Italian comics or manga or French books, like the American ones have always been the ones that attracted me the most. So I think that I'm hoping I'm answering your question correctly. But yeah, I think that things would always be more or less the same, because that was my goal, to work for the U.S. industry.
And yeah, the internet really makes the world smaller in regards to things like that. You might as well be right next door to someone.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, definitely. And another thing that I think helped me a lot, and it was a big investment for me back in the day, but it really paid off, is that since the first publications that I had, I started traveling to the States, even if I didn't know the language that much. I just, decided to throw myself into that situation and just, buy tickets from the States whenever there was a show, and, started attending shows and started trying to understand how things work in the States, and trying to, make myself visible, because sometimes, it also helps to, to make your face seen at shows here and there, So that was another thing that I think really paid off back in the day, even if it was basically just an investment for the future, because I was just spending money to fly to the States, and, spending money for hotel rooms and meals over there, just to be seen, and starting creating connection, like actual human connections, aside from the internet ones, which is always important to me, at least, probably because I'm from the 80s, so I still care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, the networking part of it is definitely important. Is that what led to you doing Black Science with Rick Remender? Was that a product of that networking, or was that just a result of your work?
That actually was more, I think, the internet, because I didn't know. Like what happened was that back in the day, Rick was doing Uncanny X-Force for Marvel, and with Jerome Opeña, and then other artists joined him. And I really liked that project. So one day I decided to do just a fan art of Uncanny X-Force. It was just a big illustration, a big piece, involving the five main characters. And I think he saw that, and probably that was a kind of signal that I liked, his stuff. So Rick was also working on Secret Avengers with Marvel, and Gabriel Hardman, who was the artist in that moment, was about to leave the series, if I remember right, if I remember correctly. So Rick took the chance to, ask me, like through Marvel, if I was willing to, to do interiors for like a run for like, I think it was 8 or 9 issues. So we started, knowing each other in that occasion. So at first we didn't see each other in person. We didn't meet each other in person for the first time. So, and then after that successful run in which, we both had a lot of fun, Rick, was planning, was feeling that something was changing in the air, because, some Image series were, getting really successful. So he wanted to try and, and start a big project with Image. And it wasn't supposed to be me at first on Black Science. It was a Spanish artist that, the guy just did a few character studies, but then he was really busy in other projects. So he couldn't, keep up and with the pace. So, Rick asked me if I was willing to, to be the artist on this project, and everything started from there. That's more or less the story on how Rick and I started, collaborating.
It's crazy how in a good way, crazy how the internet can lead to that. Like that's not the first story that you hear of an artist putting his work on the internet and getting picked to do something. That's you probably know who Jorge Fornes is. He's been doing lately Batman with Tom King, Daredevil with Chip Zdarsky, and he's about to do the Rorschach series with Tom King. And that's how he got picked up, is he was tweeting at Tom King just Batman pieces that he was drawing. And that got Tom's attention, and next thing you know, he's drawing Batman comics.
Yeah, man, that's cool. And again, especially from a guy from the, I don't know how old are you guys, but a guy from the 80s. I'm from, I was born in 1982. Like, yeah. I'm glad that I still have, I'm glad of the fact that I didn't grow up with these things, like with the internet and, iPhones and stuff. So I get to enjoy the good things, about this great, mediums, and I never get them from granted. And so I'm always appreciative of the positive things, despite the fact that there's a lot of negatives with that comes from it as well. But it's amazing, especially because I've known some people that, back in the day had worked for the States, and things were, way harder back in the day. Just if you just were, I don't know, just a penciler, you had to pencil all the pages and then ship them to the States, just hoping that they will get there. Just thinking about that, it's crazy, So I'm really grateful for the technology, and I'm still able to use it, as a tool for and use it for what it's for, and avoid other, not healthy, at least to me, usage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you draw on the tablet usually, or how do you usually work?
Sorry?
Oh, do you draw on a tablet, or like how do you usually
Oh, no,
work?
no. I do everything traditionally. Like, the only, technology in my pages are, the fact that I use a scanner, and then I scan them, and then with Photoshop, I just, in case some inks are a little, there's too much gray, or there's, I just adjust with Photoshop in literally 3 seconds, and then I save the file, and then I send the file. So it's everything you see is done traditionally. I actually have a tablet, but it's really not my thing. Like, sometimes it's try, but I can't. Yeah, it's not my thing.
I think Greg Capullo was talking about how it's just so much more intimate to draw with pencil on paper. You can get in there and just and the little
and also I think that working digitally, unless you find a special way to interact with it, it's so easy to get rid of any mistakes that you learn how to not deal with the mistakes, which is
good. That's a good point.
It's a really important part of the whole process, because to me, like, and not just to me, it's a known thing. I know, so I'm not saying anything new, but style is basically basically the same mistake. If you keep making the same mistake and make it yours, that becomes your style. Nice. So the relationship with making mistakes is really important, the whole creative process. So
I'm going to incorporate that into my daily life. No, that's not a mistake. That's just my style.
Okay. We'll see if it works in every aspect of the life. But
I'll let you know. But speaking, you brought up Greg, and the ways that technology is now affecting comics. I was speaking to Greg once, and he was talking about how now that so many people read comics digitally, that he would hear flack from people who are criticizing like a lack of detail in his backgrounds and stuff, because now when they're reading digitally, they can zoom way in, zoom way in, zoom way in, and like, hey, you're not putting much detail into these window frames that are way in the background there. So, now I can go in and I can draw this stuff digitally where I can zoom way in and I can put this detail in there so people don't whine about it. But then how much time are you going to spend on it, because you're now zoomed way into the background, spending extra hours on these what will be tiny little details on the printed page that most people are never going to notice. You're going to drive yourself crazy and work yourself to death spending all that extra time on minute details.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And also, like, that's not the principle of any artistic representation. How things work. Like, the more objects are far away from us, the less the less details you gotta add to them. And it's not even a matter of looking at things digitally or not. There's just a rule of how things should be done, like even in painting and stuff like that. So it's just I don't know. I totally agree with you. It makes no sense. It's not always it's not practical, but it's not right, like, technically. So
And I think it was it might have actually been Sean Murphy that said that, he was talking about when you're on the schedule of doing a monthly book or whatever it is, that you can't get tied up trying to make everything perfect like that. I think it was him that said, you don't look for perfection on every page. Shoot for like 90% and then move on to the next page, or you're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, unfortunately for a comic book artist, like there's an element that a lot of people don't take in consideration. A lot of people that usually don't, work in the business, which is the element of time, that we have. Like if I was a painter, and I didn't have any deadline and stuff like that, of course you could tell me, hey, just take care of all the details, but and don't finish it until it's, don't consider it finished until it's perfect. But an important thing of having time as an element of your creative process is that you got to learn how to let it go and accept, again, stuff that it's, you got to accept the fact that what you're doing is not going to be perfect most of the time. Like what you can do is learn how to get closer to perfection slowly, but it's never going to be perfect, because until there's, that element of time in the creative process, it's never going to be perfect. So, that's the thing that I always tell to my, I don't anymore, but back in the day when I used to teach, there was a lot of students of mine that were concerned about this time thing. They didn't know how to manage it. And back in the day when they were studying, I was like, okay, now you're studying, so trying to look for your ideal quality, and then you learn how to put that quality every time. Don't think about time now because you're learning, but now look for the right thing, the right style, and then you learn how to do it faster and faster and faster. But then when you become a professional, time, is a really important thing. So you must start thinking about time a lot, but after, when you're a professional.
That is a good point. I never thought of it that way. In terms of what you were talking about perfection as well, I remember, I think Raphael, one of the old masters, was talking about how we can never achieve the true perfection that we think we see in our minds, So there's always that question of what is actually perfect as well, as opposed to mistakes. So, but I really,
absolutely.
tell us about like your experience. So you're working on a White Knight, the Harley Quinn series, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about to finish issue number 4 now, so I have 2 left, and the issue number 1 is coming out soon on, as you said, on October the 20th. So It's gonna be in 3 weeks.
So Harley Quinn is a very lucrative, beloved character at this point in pop culture. But as far as me and a lot of other guys on the panel, we feel in the past couple of years, she was really mishandled in comics, like creatively, artistically, in terms of writing. And then Sean started dealing with her in White Knight, and a lot of us were excited because he really brought her back to the roots. It felt like real Harley Quinn again. So, like with this character, like how do you feel like taking on this character in this project? Is it exciting for you, or is it another day at the job, or like what's your outtake on this?
To be honest with you, it's really exciting because, especially with Colleen writing it, there's a really human aspect to this character here. There's not, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of the classic, Harley supervillain crazy character, but more of the person behind the mask. Which, by the way, she's not wearing the mask during the series. So, it's there's some action scenes in which she has to be classic, or a more classic comic book character with action stuff, but most of the book is focused on her as a person, and the fact that she has to deal with a lot of human, really human aspects of life. She's a single mom, and she has to raise two kids, and at the same time she has to, take care of her and their family in terms of money as well. So she needs a job, but and on one side she wants to get back to to business, but on the other side it's a really dangerous job, so she doesn't know. She's really conflicted internally, and also during this series, aside from the classical action stuff, there's a lot of detective stuff going on. So a lot of their brain will be shown, if we can put it this way. So I really like the fact that, and this was one of the most challenging things for me. I really like the fact that we get to concentrate to the person more than just having to just draw action scenes, which are fun, don't get me wrong, but also are not, in this moment of my life, they might not be that challenging. So that was the most fun part to do on this book so far.
Well,
aside from drawing the hyenas.
And funny that you come over and you're drawing this, what is basically a Batman project, coming from the White Knight stuff, but you're not even going to be drawing Batman because Bruce Wayne is in jail in this series.
Yeah. Like, I got to draw a lot of Bruce Wayne in a yellow, suit behind bars. But at the same time, there's a lot of, things. Again, we focused on the person, Harley Quinn. There's gonna be a lot of flashbacks of her, love story with Jack, and the various, and we also focused on the relationship between her and Bruce as well, which are two characters that are really connected. So we will get to see what are some of the other encounters that they had during the past, in specific occasions. So I got to draw some Batman myself as well. Yeah. So it's good.
Some of the pages have been shown online from I think it's just issue 1 that pages have been shown online for, and you've posted some on your social media, but I've seen a few other pages that aren't online, and I like what you're doing with showing the differences between the current time and the flashback times, like the way you're differentiating those scenes. It's really well done. So I'm excited to see the rest of the book.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, for as for style, what I'm trying to do with this book, like every book I do, I try to add a little something different, just to give each book its own feel. So for this one, I decided to do it all in ink washes, which is something that I usually do just for covers and for if I have to do some commissions or stuff like the pinups or stuff like that. But normally on interiors, I just go simply black and white. And in this case, I wanted to challenge myself and do something special. So I decided to do all in ink washes. So what I do is I have various levels of gray. So I start from the black, and then I have a dark gray, then I 50-50 gray, and then a light gray, and then a white. And then for the flashback scenes, I basically take out the black. So the dark gray becomes the black. So everything is slightly, more a little softer, if you wanna, if we wanna call it this way. So that was my personal approach with the flashback scenes, and also like Dave Stewart's color will help with that, because they will have a different tone, that with especially with specifically picked for specific flashback scenes. So and even Dave is doing a great job with interiors. Letting my not covering too much of my art, and the same thing happens with Matt Hollingsworth, who's coloring the covers. So I'm super honored to have those two monsters putting colors on my stuff.
That's a great team. And I understand you have drawn the Gray Ghost in this book as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's gonna be some some Gray Ghost stuff. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, you've seen the cover probably.
Yeah.
So it's not a big secret. So yeah. There's gonna be some Gray Ghost, which is one of Sean's favorite characters. So it was really, he couldn't wait for it to put it somewhere in the story. So they managed to do that for my series. And I'm really, really glad because it's
I remember we were pushing Clayman to bring Phantasm to a comic, and they're doing that with Batman Catwoman, and we were pushing for Grey Ghost to be in as well, and Sean Murphy finally got it done. I think Robin, is this the first time the Grey Ghost has ever been in a comic book?
Depends what you count, because years ago Sean did Joe the Barbarian with Grant Morrison, and he basically the story of Joe the Barbarian is this kid is having basically delusions, imagining all of the toys in his house fighting this war against each other, and some of the toys that are in it include animated series Batman toys, and Grey Ghost is in there. So Grey Ghost appears in that as a toy. But yeah, then so that's technically an appearance, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's an animate object.
And it was also a Vertigo book, not an actual DC.
Yeah, because I want to say that Matteo might be drawing Grey Ghost for the first time in a comic book, like actual Grey Ghost
in a human form.
yeah, not as a toy.
That's pretty cool because he's a huge hardcore fan favorite, and it's like it's pretty badass to see that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and also I wanted to since I know that Sean likes to put a lot of how do you call them,
Easter eggs?
Easter eggs, in his books. So I wanted to do the same. So I started looking for a lot of Grey Ghost memorabilia or stuff that that pops up in the cartoon, to try and put them in those pages, just to give the fans some happy moments,
That's awesome.
It was fun, and to be honest with you, I never done so much research for a book because before this I was working on Black Science, was where I was creating everything. So so it was really challenging for me going back to having to gather all the reference material, and it's been challenging, but it's fun to be back to that method of working.
Are you a big Batman Universe fan, or like who are your favorite characters in comic books?
Sorry.
Oh, are you a big Batman fan, a Batman Universe fan, or like who are your favorite comic book characters and such?
Well, yeah. To be honest with you, I've always liked Batman as a character, because it's a really dark character, and it always it's always portrayed in dark and gothic environments and settings, and in general atmospheres. So given the fact that I love working with brushes and use a lot of black and a lot of contrast in my books, Batman has always been one of my favorite character to draw. So yeah, I would say there's another DC character that I really love, and unfortunately I don't think there's any way we can make it fit here, but I've always been a huge fan of Lobo.
Oh, cool.
It is not it doesn't belong to the Batman universe. So I'm pretty sure there's never gonna be a chance that I get to draw it during
I
this
don't know.
series.
Batman and Loba have crossed paths in the past.
really?
It's I wouldn't say it's impossible. It's hard to imagine many situations where they're occupying the same space, but yeah, it's definitely not out of the question. I wouldn't say.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And who knows?
I didn't even know.
Yeah, maybe if this is as successful as we expect it to be, who knows what it'll lead to.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Fingers crossed.
And we talked about you talked about the research that you had to do into these characters, these obviously already established characters, but you guys are also introducing new characters in the series, so you did get to do probably some making things up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's three main, I would say 3.5, let's say 4 main new characters for this miniseries, and there's Hector, which is who is a detective that is gonna work side by side with Harley, and that one I designed it, and his mom, and I got to design that character as well. And then we have 2 new supervillains, and one of them is the Starlet, which was drawn by Sean. So Sean did, the character sheet for it, and I got to design the other supervillain, who is called the Producer. So yeah, I got to create a few things here and there. So yeah, definitely. But in general, like the things that I needed reference the most for was especially environments and settings, like buildings and stuff like that, because as I was telling you earlier, with Black Science, most of the story takes place in fantasy or sci-fi worlds. So yeah. I haven't been used to to draw realistic environments and buildings and stuff like that for a while. So that was that needed a lot of research and also in small details, because since I don't live in the States, I mean, I've been to the States a lot, but I don't live over there. There's a lot of little details, like, I don't know, like a mailbox or anything, like a light switch. Everything is different over here than the States. So you gotta, be able to study. You need to study every single detail. Just even if you just have to, to depict a scene happening on a street, cars, street lights, street signs, everything is different. So you gotta, it needs a lot of, a lot of study before, getting to actual draw the stuff on the page.
Yeah, so you don't end up with, the books coming out and people saying, why do all the plugs on the walls look weird in this book?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people, like in the Brad Capullo story, there's a lot of people who are gonna, try and pick all those, small details. So I gotta make sure that nobody complains,
Yeah. Well, they're gonna complain no matter what. We can't stop that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's the new sport of 2020. So we just gotta get used to it,
But Matteo, before we let you get going, we want to do a little tradition we have at Bat Force Radio called the Lightning Round, where we just ask you a handful of fun questions, and you just give us the answer that first comes to mind about general stuff, if that's okay.
Okay. So they have to be like quick answers.
I mean, you don't have to like go that quick. Just whatever comes to the top of your head.
Okay,
Um, okay, number one, deep dish pizza or New York style pizza?
I don't know what deep dish is, so I'm gonna go with New York because I tried it.
And how are you gonna ask the pizza question to a guy who lives in Italy?
Well, they do their. Everyone has their own pizza. Pizza's different
Well,
all
you,
around the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But to be honest with you, I like I enjoyed some pizzas in the States as well.
Mm,
Despite the fact that that I live in Italy, there's some really good pizzas over there as well, especially in New York. So, and
yeah,
I've been told that Chicago is known for good pizza, right?
yeah,
That's the deep dish. That's the stuff that's thick like a cake.
yeah. It's like a cake with a lot of cheese and a lot of bread and crust.
Oh, okay. Now I get you.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. Well, in
it's
that
good
case,
too.
I confirm my answer because I prefer the lower. I don't know how to say it, but I prefer the more traditional
Nice. Yeah, and then if you're ever in New York again, I will take you to one of the best pizza places in the world in New York and see what you think because it's really
one.
good.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Do you like regular M&Ms or peanut M&Ms?
Regular.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Nice.
all for the tradition, man.
um, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh my God. This is really, not original, but I would go with invisibility. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry
Oh.
for lacking originality, man. But I
No,
had to answer quickly, and that was the first one. Okay.
mo- most people say some version of time control. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you're
so they
actually
can
pretty right.
shut
Okay.
down. Now, if you could have dinner with a person, any person that has lived throughout history that's here or not here with us anymore, who would it be?
I would go with Jorge Zafino. Was I don't know if you never heard of the guy. Is a Argentinian artist
Mm.
that is basically my favorite artist ever.
Oh,
And if you ask Sean, he will tell you the same. Like I think he's his favorite artist as well. If it's not his favorite, it's one of his favorites. And unfortunately, he died really early,
mm.
and uh, so I never had the chance to meet him in person. So I would love to, if it, you know, if that was a possibility, I would love just to talk to him for a second and pick his brain about some stuff and ask him
Jorge,
a lot of.
Jorge Ofantino or Infant? How?
Zafino. Yeah,
Zafino.
he's done some cool Batman pieces too.
Yeah, he did some.
Oh,
He's famous for a couple of Punisher miniseries.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, just looking. Yeah, I could
Punisher,
see why you and Sean would like this guy. His work is really it's very
yeah,
well done. He's in control. He's really in control.
and he did some Conan stuff, and also he did this. It mainly worked with the writer Chuck Dixon. He did
Mm,
Winter War,
okay.
which is a book that they did together. So
His,
the guy's the best.
his stuff looks very pulp, really good, like noir pulp. I like that. Really classic, polished look to it. It's good. Um, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received, and who gave it to you?
Let me see. It was actually like the mistake thing that we talked about at the beginning of the podcast of the interview. The mistake thing was told me by an older artist who lives here in Parma. He's mainly a painter, but he's done comics as well. He's not known. He did something for the French market, and some other stuff for the Italian market that is not well known. But for a certain time, I used to go in his studio, and to talk sometimes, just to draw with him. And and he was the one who told me, listen, like the secret is learning how to use the mistake as an advantage, because mistakes are a disadvantage, but it's not always like that. Sometimes, the mistakes define your personality. So once you learn how to use the mistakes, that's when you make the next step as an artist. And back in the day, I must be honest with you, I didn't get it at first, but I got it later in life, and that was a really precious advice, and it's something that they tell to, that he always told my students. And whenever I see a young artist, they ask me questions, I try to to put it there, every time.
I like that one. And for my last question, where is the best place to eat in Italy, and where would you recommend to eat in Italy, anywhere in Italy? Where's your place that you would take someone and be like, this is the best, my favorite food?
Okay, so since we were talking about pizza, like there's a special pizza place, and which is not, it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes drive from my place, so it's not here. It's up north, and it's called La Filiale. It's this guy is called Franco Pepe. He's a famous chef from the south who, he has the secret for, it looks like he has the secret for the best pizza ever. So if you ever happen to be in that area, is in the north, close to Milan, this place, if you ever had the chance to, be around that area, around dinner time, like I strongly suggest, to go there. Like that was actually my girlfriend and I were planning on going back there soon. So we literally love that place. It's amazing. The place is amazing, and the pizza, the food is out of this world. They just make pizza; they don't do anything else, but they're the best.
Is there a rivalry in Italy where it's like who has the better food, the north or the south? Is there still like that kind of thing going on, or is it like just not really like?
There's not a big rivalry, but in general, like there's a lot of things that were basically created. They're originally from the Naples area, which is coffee, pizza, that became basically national. And especially for when you talk about pizza, like everyone develops their own, style for it. And so what happens is that usually people from Naples, when they go elsewhere, they are usually really picky about their pizza and coffee. Because they have their own traditions about them. So there's especially a friend of mine who's from Naples, and every time we see each other at shows somewhere else, outside Naples in other places, when we decide to go for pizza, it's like, are we sure we want to do it? Because I just like, pizza from his place and coffee. He keeps complaining about the coffee because the coffee is not. I understand it, but other than that, I don't think there's a lot of rivalries, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah, because there's so much good. The Italians take their food and coffee very seriously, and I know like restaurants and whatnot that are. Yeah. But I hope everyone, all the businesses are maintaining and recovering over there too, and staying afloat, because I know they took a hit this year, and I just
they took a really big hit. Like luckily enough, we're as Italians, we're really good at saving, so that saved us during the lockdown. But if we're gonna get a new lockdown, that's gonna be trouble, because the second lockdown is gonna be really bad. So just hopefully, it's things we want that they won't be that bad. this summer.
Has there been have you seen new like tourism? Has there been a lot more tourism in Italy now, or is it like slowly trickling in? Do you know?
We had some. We had some during the summer. Some people from France and some people from Germany. But other than that, it was mainly Italian tourists. Like the big change that I saw was that basically all the Italians decided to stay in Italy and go, to the Italian beaches. So we saw a lot of people when we went for our vacation in Sardinia, and the same with basically all the South, which is the best. The South is the best for when you want to go when you want to see the sea, and Sicily and especially Apulia, they got literally like assaulted this summer. So, but mainly with the town.
That's good. Yeah, I love it. I miss
Anything for summer, like go somewhere or just stay your places.
Oh, is that a question or is it a statement? I couldn't.
Oh yeah, it was a question. Sorry.
Oh, do I in the past summer?
Yeah, this summer you basically you were in full quarantine, right? The summer.
I went to the park up down the block.
Okay.
Well, I'm in New York, so there's plenty of things to do here, but no, it wasn't really vacation time. But
yeah.
But I after watching what was happening around the world in Italy, I was thinking I kind of miss places like Cinque Terre, I think it's called, the five towns.
Yeah.
She's just beautiful and all sorts of things and I can't even think of a vacation this year. It'll be what about you, Robin? Like,
well, I think I did nothing for like I went from I work at a comic shop, so I went between my house and the comic shop was all I went for months. On Monday, I went to visit my parents. They live like an hour away, and we went out to a restaurant, and this was my first time since March eating in a restaurant, and it was so bizarre.
Oh,
so
it's so
that was vacation.
Okay, got it. So sorry for the stupid question, like because like to us, like where the summer came, like the emergency got a little lighter, so we were allowed to actually travel, through states. So if you wanted to go to vacation in France, for example, you could do it. So I imagine like that's how dumb I am. I imagine that you could kind of do the same more or less, but evidently,
No, it's not dumb at all. Yeah, like you guys, because you had the misfortune of being hit with this sooner, you were also seeing the recovery before the rest of us did.
Yeah,
I think Italy has like some kind of immunity now. So many people got it that I think they were talking about it's like a herd immunity in Italy now. Like it might not be a big herd immunity, but there's some kind of herd immunity because it was just so much at once, So I just
and also also what I personally think, but I don't know if it's the truth, and probably nobody knows. But the people who are more at risk, they basically like most of them they died in the first wave. So now it's and also I think it's again from an ignorant point of view, but it's suspected that a virus loses its strength the more it goes. So probably it's also that, but we'll see. There's as I told you, there's a lot of new infected people, but if you look at the numbers, they're way much less death, and all the time we didn't get caught by surprise, so we're already adopting a lot of measures. So I tend to be positive, so I want to be positive about this. So
you have to be positive. It's it really puts things in perspective, and it makes you really appreciate. It makes you appreciate like everything, like just seeing family or going to a restaurant or being alive.
Oh
It's
yeah, man. I still remember the first time I saw my friends, like
yeah,
after months. You know,
Yeah.
we
yeah,
we we saw each other to watch one of the UFC events. So that was the first time I saw my friends. They came over to my place, and we finally got to do something together. It was fucking amazing.
it was amazing,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's a simple thing, but it's just so amazing to just be with people
Yeah,
again.
and also it was weird because we hadn't seen each other for a while, but we couldn't touch each other, we couldn't hug and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it was weird, but at the same time, see each other in person, even if we made calls through Skype and stuff like that. It's not the same, man. It's not the same.
Yeah, 100%. So, but man, it was so good to talk to you.
I've
I'm
got one. I want to throw in one more lightning round question that we don't usually have in the lightning round because it wouldn't make sense, but I'm going to throw it in here. Will we ever see Black Science on Netflix?
Oh man, I don't know. Especially because there's a competitor over there, which is what's his name? I forgot.
Hulu,
I actually
Hulu,
watched.
Amazon.
No, on Netflix. There's a TV show that actually like reminds a lot of Black Science,
Oh,
except that it's not time traveling; it's space traveling. It's a family, and they have
Oh,
three kids. Get lost in space, I think.
yeah, Lost in Space is it? Yeah,
Yeah, it's basically the remake of Lost in Space,
yeah.
and there's so much stuff in common with Black Science that it's crazy. So like, to be honest with you, there's been a time in which um, Amazon, I think I can say it, so fuck it, but Amazon was really interested in making it. So we've been kind of suspended for like a year or so because we found the producer and everything. So we were ready to go, and at the last time we it was us or another sci-fi TV show, and they went for the other one. So, but we were really close, to be honest with you, at least to to shoot the pilot. So, but it
Well,
didn't
hopefully
happen.
it happens eventually. Hopefully, it's never too late. And if someone goes forward with that, they can make a lot of seasons because Black Science went for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
So
and
they
the
can make a
structure is
lot of shows.
it really it's really yeah, and the structure itself is really close to a TV show because there's dimension traveling, so it's every kind of every season could be a different dimension, so
Yeah.
it could be good. But at the same time, it would be a really expensive show. That's the main that's the main problem for it. Like it needs a lot of money to be made, so. It's hard. It's hard. Like
Yeah, it's
open
not as
source.
easy to make it live action as it is for you to put it on a page, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, but yeah, before we wrap it up, I did want to ask, what's it like working with Rick Remender?
Oh, it's super fun. Like the guys, like we're friends, and the good thing is that we have more or less the same ideas when it comes to storytelling
Yeah.
and how storytelling should be. Like he used to be an artist too. It was working for, I don't remember if an animation company back in the day or a video game company. So he knows how to draw, and he knows how to make life easy for an artist. Like
Oh
I can,
yeah.
when I see a script written by him, that I know that he's thinking about the artist as well, and not just about telling a story, in general. So and so it's always been really easy working with him. We have the same vision.
Yeah, because he we've been trying to get him to do a Batman story for so long, and he's I think he's anti Big Two to an extent, but he writes a lot of good stuff though. He does a lot of home runs, and yeah, I always wondered what it was like to work with. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Black Science is really good.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's really against Marvel DC, but it's just his goal is to make his own thing. Like more or less like Kirkman did. And so he's trying to create his own thing, his own universe. So that's the thing that he's most focused on. And to be honest with you, like time ago, like years ago, we talked about, I told me, hey man, why don't we do like Batman series, just for fun, and he actually was thinking about it. So, who knows in the future?
Yeah, hopefully, but man, Matteo, we appreciate all the good work you're doing. Your artwork, it looks so good, especially on these Batman universe characters. Great Ghost. Oh my God, that's so amazing. We appreciate your time and everything you do, and you need to come back when we get a few issues out of the Harley Quinn run so we can talk about them.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's make it happen. It was a lot of fun for me too. So thanks a lot for having me again, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone remember, Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn starts October 20th, and if you haven't checked it out already, Matteo did the art in one of the issues of the Harley Red, White, and Black digital series.
Yes.
So you can go read that as a primer for the new series.
Yeah, good. Yeah, make sure you pick it up, man. This Matteo is an amazing artist, and it's like every time I see a panel that comes out of this book, I just want it as like a poster or print or something. It's just that good. So make sure to pick that.
Thanks, man.
Well, yeah, thank you, Matteo, and we'll be in touch, and we're gonna have you back on when we get a few issues out. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night. Bye bye.
You too.